What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for joining in for another fantastic live stream. Today, we're going to be doing things basically somewhat a little bit different here, looking at the way I chart some technical analysis stuff, some of the basics in it. We're going to be diving in, asking questions from the chat, of course. Those are always welcome and appreciated. So again, hope everyone is doing fantastic out there. I see Danny and Trevor is already out here. Thank you for joining, my friends. We're again just going to be doing the very basic, some of the technical analysis side of things, looking mostly on the daily and the weekly side. But again, a lot of the technical analysis stuff can be brought upon on other various time frames. The time frames that really I use aggressively, and the ones I use on a day-to-day basis are the daily charts and weekly charts, and sometimes going down to an hourly chart or even a 4-hour chart to kind of see on how a particular stock is behaving. But initially, scanning and looking for potential ideas all really come from the daily or weekly side of the chart. So let's kind of let people kind of join in here, get everyone settled, everyone get their favorite drink, get some popcorn, sit back in your relaxing seat and just enjoy, and we'll just have some good old fun here, talking some charts. I'm going to be looking at basically the S&P 500 initially as the first off, to kind of give us what the basic of a trend could maintain, upward, downward, sideways. As of right now, we have been in a kangaroo market, but the market is trying fairly aggressively to break out of this current range that it's in. With that being said here, let's go ahead and just dive into the futures here. This is, again, the S&P 500 futures there. Should I have another White Claw? Dan. What are those things? Are those those little vodka seltzer things, flavored things? That being said here, on the overall, what could break down on a trend, what could understand some of the technical side of things. Let me actually lower my desk here 1 second. There we go. Looking at the chart here, again, looking here on the daily side, if we zoom all the way out, you can kind of see here all the craziness that we've seen here in the market here from that huge dramatic drop and then now to this really swing higher. What's up, Shane? What's up there? It's a hard seltzer. Oh, okay. I'm not a big hard seltzer person. I'm not really much of a drinker, but that being said here, so as of right now, looking here on the daily side, some people would say that this is trying to break out, which I would tend to agree with, in the sense of we are seeing the 5 and 8 moving averages getting above the 21 EMA, and we're seeing it break some key levels here. So we're seeing the S&P 500 get above that 618, which is a very key level to the downside, to kind of see that continue going higher. That being said, we are seeing those moving averages starting to start pointing upwards to the right here, to the upward right-hand side. The best way to kind of, lack of better words, to see on the trend works is just seeing on how some, like maybe the 21 or 34 EMA gets into trending upward sideways. Because again, this whole point from this little sell-off here, basically at the beginning of September, was really choppy, and this washed a lot of people out. People were very used to buying the dip and just trying to run with the dip. So the dip buying worked in an upward trending market. By that I mean is, okay, the market goes higher, hits the 21, buy the dip. Market goes higher, drops lower, buy the dip. It doesn't break below the 21, goes higher, then goes lower, buy the 21.34 EMA, goes really high, goes back down, 21.34, buy the dip, and it kind of just plays out for literally since like February, March, and this has been continuously, which a lot of people have come into the market that are new, or have just literally been used to. It's just like, this is how I trade. This is what I do, right? I just buy when the market's down, and it just bounces back up. That really didn't happen here. We came down to that 21 EMA, 34 EMA, but we never got back above it. And then we had a second flush which just gets those people out even more and just really just kind of kicks them while they're down. Now we're getting that bounce back here. This is a consolidation pattern around this range here. We're now seeing it trying to break out higher. Now we're looking at the same levels where we were previously looking at that could have been the downward levels of the initial resistance to the downside. So now we're seeing those levels trying to go higher. Of course, now the bears are kind of losing here, and the bulls are kind of getting ready for a particular move to the upside. That doesn't mean that they have the green light and they can continue to run without any bears dancing on them, but that's still in the books potentially to see to look for a potential choppiness due to, yes, the factors of the election is a huge one, the overall stimulus plan and all that stuff. That is definitely a very difficult time, and these could be overall hurting the market if you can look at that sense. And depending on if you're short-term trading or long-term trading, like for example, if you're trading longer term, meaning you buy and hold stocks, would be definitely something that this little hiccup right here it got on your radar, but it didn't bother you too much. But if you were trading, let's say, call options, and you're playing call options on like a weekly basis or even 2-week basis, you definitely felt the pain. Like your calls theta and the time decay just got killed because of what that overall downward trend of the market and that chop that we had really kind of going on around here. So that's basically the way you would look at it, the trend on that sense. What do you think of the futures will open up? I don't know if I'm going to make that prediction just because I just don't know, because I don't have a crystal ball actually. That being said, I think the trend is still somewhat higher. I just don't, this whole movement here, I'm going to be really looking for that 3,500 level to be some overhead resistance and potentially getting a slight pullback around that level. But we could definitely see it continue going higher. Again, that doesn't have to have a rhyme or reason to continue going higher. So just be very, very mindful of that. That doesn't matter for whatever reason. If you guys want to just go ahead and jump on some stocks, I can give you some more examples on looking at those particular stocks. We can kind of just jump into those, and then how I would particularly want to form a trade. So if someone wants to ping something like or message something within the chat of saying, hey, what do you think of Tesla? I'm looking for a bullish play, blah, 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 for at least, most of my trades are at least 35 to 40 days out on options, and of course, mostly just stock. All right, so let's see how it's going on here. GTFSO says Roku is nuts. What's up with that one? Yeah, Roku is one of those ones that literally really plays that Fibonacci retracements. With those Fibonacci retracements, we can see here, it usually has a huge gap higher, trades sideways. Huge gap higher, trades sideways. Huge gaps up, and I bet you it's going to be trading sideways around that 230 to around that 220 level. That's definitely going to be something that could be in the cards. The next overall target would be around 250 with Roku. That's definitely somewhat is reachable because this could be really a strong earnings run. Sorry, zoomed in too much. So they have earnings, looks like the 11/4. So they're the first week of November. So Roku can definitely get a movement to the upside here to kind of see that, particularly on how that plays out there. So we'll have to see on if that could be any good movement in that sense of, let me pull this 1 second. I gotta unplug this. There we go. Charger. So with Roku, again, that thing has just been flying off the rails, even though it's not getting crazy amount of volume with this upside. So that's why it's kind of potentially, not saying it's going to be frothy, but with this large move to the upside, this definitely needs some kicking in because it has a gap up. We are seeing some high levels on RSI and the volume zone oscillator, and we'll see on how this potentially could go higher. Initial support to the downside is going to be around 208. And then after that, we're going to be looking for around the 21 and the parabolic SAR dots around 191 to like 192 there to the upside. So that's going to be on Roku there. This one is very difficult to maybe create trades on this. This is definitely one I would potentially selling some puts around like the 34 EMA, a little bit below the 21 as well. So hopefully that was helpful. I'm gonna just thoughts on pins and NIO. Pins has been a fantastic trade, very well for us, for me. Seeing this really kind of go higher here, looking for that really huge gap up ever since his last earnings. We're seeing that really just kind of hold that $36, $37 level. It didn't react as steeply to all the selling off, which is again a really strong sign of a very strong stock in hand. If it didn't budge with all the selling that we saw going on, we can consider that a market leader, a strong stock. It's just kind of disconnected from the overall market. So that's definitely that we kind of like that setup within that, because that kind of just really shows and isolates that, hey, this stock has a very strong foundation to continue going higher. So we're seeing that kind of hold that $36 range there. Then once everything kind of recovered and market kind of just went to the upside, of course that went up and that hit that $44 limit there that we had at that 1272 extension. The next overall target for pins is around $53. That's going to be the 618 from where we're currently sitting at. And downside support is going to be on the short-term side around 40, and then going to be coming back down to the $36.83 there for the pins. And then you also said NIO. Actually, I haven't looked at NIO in a while. Actually, how's that doing? Yeah, that's a kind of figure that those doing very well as well with all these EV markets. This one's kind of hitting in, I want to say, unknown territory, but it's really kind of getting up to these very high isolated levels. Because again, you can see here, even if I just pull away these Fibonacci retracements, what do you see here? You're basically seeing it hold that 21 EMA and coming down to the 34 EMA a couple times. But still holding that 21 EMA trend, continue grinding to the upside. So that is definitely one that has been continue to performing. And the next downside support is going to be around $20.28, and then around $18.17. And this thing kind of moves quite aggressively. Be very careful on that one. And the overall target could be around $26.35 to the upside. Can you do technical analysis on NQ? Yes. Looking here at the NASDAQ, this thing has been, again, the NASDAQ has been a complete monster, performing this whole year due to the fact of just, again, very tech-heavy stocks. We're seeing that kind of chop that we saw here, now trying to break above that 11,1699 level, potentially looking for to kind of break higher. Since we have the parabolic SARs below us, the 5 and 8 EMAs are to continue going higher. We can draw another fib here on that retracement here, the swing high to swing low. If we break that 11, what is that? Let's zoom in here real fast. 11,775 basically. That would be a nice bullish move to the upside. But that being said, this has been somewhat a very long move we're seeing, and since it's just starting at a squeeze and it just fired long, we can definitely see potentially, if the market continues and it's over well, that 11,775 to around 1280 to the upside for some potential overhead resistance. Downside support is going to be coming around the 21 EMA on that daily chart. So hopefully that was helpful for you, my friend. Yep, did NIO already, Tim? Let's see. Shane says, could you check out EHPH, OKT, and Beyond? Let's do Beyond Me, because that's the only one I actually know that I off the back of my head, since I own shares in Beyond. This thing has just been gangbusters. Like, this has been fantastic. We actually just own shares and sold puts in this. We bought into this, I think around, I always think it was like 27 or something like that, 25, $27. Bought this long base here, really broke out, got some deals with Walmart and a couple other places, and just been skyrocketing higher. Next overall resistance, because we're getting slightly high up here on the sense of the RSI and the volume zone oscillator, looking for that 198 to be some next overhead resistance. But since I'm actually looking on this on the longer dated chart, we're going to be switching to the weekly side. I think this can easily clear to around that previous high to around 240 to the upside there. Initially, downside support is going to be coming in around that 156 and then down to around 143 for level 2 support to the downside there. So hopefully that was helpful. And then you said ENPH. Wow, that's a monster there as well. That thing is just continuously taking off. That is a strong move. We're getting some overbought here. That means it basically could be a sense of not a pullback, but just kind of slowing down, pumping the brakes with that one. This is definitely a very high flyer. If it wants to continue, the next overall resistance is around $123 to the upside, my friend. And then Oak PK. Not familiar with this one, but it looks like I did some kind of technical on this one. Looks like I did this on a weekly side, maybe longer. I kind of like this pattern here. Since the squeeze is already fired, I kind of missed my overall trade because I would have bought it potentially around this zone here. Now it looks like it could potentially get to around that $4.90, but that's going to be potentially some overhead resistance to that level there. So be very careful with those, especially when this one looks like a very aggressively stocked there. Yes, I have tried Beyond Meat before. Not too bad. The Limitless Life says space. Yeah, we look at space. That thing has been in the portfolio for some time, and it has been in the portfolio for some time, and just kind of been riding the waves, lack of a better words. With this one, we had another little recap. We bought it in after this move down. We traded it all the way up, got it out around $35, $37. I was taking a walk, and I was trying to get my cell phone to connect to Tastyworks to get out of those shares. Now it's kind of came down aggressively. We've basically been buying it around that $16, $17 range, ran it up, got out of it, some of it again, bought it, came back down here, buying longer dated options, looking for that next overall resistance around 21.83. That has kind of hit issues there before, with the overall overhead resistance issues around 25.78 to the upside, and then looking for this potentially come up here and build a base and then try to go higher to get break to that $30 level. But we'll see how this one plays out. But again, it's got a very strong base around $16, $17 to the upside, to the downside there, if it does kind of come back. Burns says, I would love your thoughts on NF. Was it NF Ion? Wow. Okay, is this a SPAC? This looks like a SPAC to me because it looks like it was just trading around $10 and then it got announced something and it's going to trade sideways. So honestly, there's not really too much technically I can tell you on this one. This is just kind of too much of a shock, honestly, into the chart here. Not really too much to kind of guide you on this one. This is just going to be pure fundamental or speculative play of however you want to play this, especially with those SPACs. Initially, that we could be looking for that 1173 being some overhead resistance, but the real overhead resistance could be around $12.19. Again, downside support is going to be looking for around 1088 and then around that $10.57 level there, my friend. Sorry, not too much information I can give there. It's not too much on the chart I can really give there. Higher image status is TRNE. You guys are coming out with those SPACs a lot here. There's another SPAC. I think this is SPAC Central. This one I don't know if this one is SPAC as well. Definitely one that is just kind of just trying to come back higher. I don't know what the company is, so there's honestly not too much analysis I can give you on that one since it's a fairly newer stock there. Uh, uh, Earl G says W for Wayfair. Yeah, what is that one doing? I haven't seen that one lately. Okay, I like this pattern. Actually, this is a good looking setup here. It's kind of recovered here. This whole move higher here. Again, it broke below 21 EMA, broke below 34 EMA with the overall market. Again, this one, it has been a very high flyer with the overall market and trades, and now it's kind of coming back down, holding that 50-day here-ish, kind of bouncing around, and now getting back above the 21 EMA and kind of holding it here. Since it's not been breaking below the parabolic SAR, it's kind of in a key level here. It needs to stay above those levels of basically above 290 to kind of continue with this upward movement. Because if we start getting below that level and getting below like 280, it's just going to be considered back in chop mode. It is trying to build a base here, it looks like. We do have earnings confirmed on the 11/3. Again, if you're not familiar with, we have earnings coming out next week with a lot of the banks. I think Zoom has an analyst day, and I think United has earnings as well. So it's going to be a very interesting one to see moving forward into next week. With Wayfair, this is definitely one that could be really potentially could have a mover without a doubt on earnings, because we've seen fairly large moves on earnings on this one as well. Again, people work from home, people want to buy the furniture, they don't want to go to the furniture store, whatever. They just want to click it on their phone while they're sitting on the toilet, and then order that brand new whatever piece and for their bedroom or whatever. Anderson ACI $15 call 11/20. Okay, we can take a looky loo. Anderson is the Albertson. Sorry, Albertson. That's the grocery store. Okay, I actually like this burn. So this one is definitely one that is setting up for a squeeze. We're kind of seeing some consolidation here around that 1375 level, hitting that overall resistance kind of that we've seen previously, kind of around that 1448. Since you have the $15 call that's expiring at 11/20, let's go ahead and look at the skews here. So you said 11/20, that's going to be November. $15 call, that's a beta of about 41, so that's a 41 percentile move to potentially get in the money. There is quite a few open interests there, but this one is definitely going to be a very interesting one to see and how it plays out, because again, we're talking about the grocery store. Of course, a lot of more people are using the grocery store, aka to instead of going out to eat. So this is definitely one that has been beaten up since it's a somewhat of a newer IPO. You have to be very careful with those potential moves there. Earnings run up. That I can definitely see that. Yeah. Robert says, "What is your thoughts on Piton?" Yeah, love me some Piton. Piton has definitely been a very high flyer, for lack of better words. It's literally trying to lift off with this movement, especially between the 5 and 8 moving averages. Continue to grind higher here, and seeing it potentially hitting that higher level of the RSI. The volume zone oscillator is not quite there yet for that setting to be oversold, but this thing has just been running up on that 5 EMA, and this is not usually can last for some time. Potentially overhead resistance around 130, but we could potentially see this 125-ish level to kind of be some overhead resistance and kind of see it trade sideways, maybe take a break a little bit, and so we'll see how it plays out there. But if it wants to run, 130 is the next target. Downside support is going to be around 111 to 110, and then back down to around 103 to around 101, 101 to the downside there. Shane X, is any feedback on Rite Aid? Yeah, Rite Aid is RAD, right? This one's kind of trying to make it a comeback here. Of course, them Walgreens, CVS have just really been taking it in the head. Excuse me. We're taking the head. It came down the last earnings, held that $9.57 range. I don't know if I want to call this a pullback, son, but this is definitely one that could be some short-sighted base here around that $9.57. But if it does break and kind of fails at that 11 to 1097 level, we could easily see it break below that $9.57 level to the downside. But it really needs to kind of get above that 21 EMA because, again, we're below the 200 EMA. This thing has just been really, really, really beaten down, and it has not been able to perform very well there. SY says, any idea on how to start a SPAC? Yeah, I should start my own SPAC, right? I would love to start my own SPAC. Rolly1 says GRWG. GRWG. I'm not familiar with this one, but the pattern looks interesting. We're kind of holding that 34 EMA if it does come down, but looking for that movement higher here. So this is kind of setting up for like a cup and handle in a sense here. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like it kind of failed at 618, so $19.17. If it wants to go higher with any kind of movement, it needs that, since it has a squeeze on its hand, and the last squeeze fired extremely long into earnings. I don't see earnings on the horizon here, but since this has been a previous runner, this definitely could run again to the upside above $20.79. But it's looking for some support initially around that 21, even down to the 34 EMA, so around like the $15.42 there. Jeremy Lego says Spot has a squeeze. Let's take a look. That it does. Really holding that. It's a nice pattern here, actually. If it holds around that 248 to 250, this definitely, with that squeeze, could fire higher into earnings, potentially breaking above that 258 to 265 to the upside. But this is definitely one that could be a runner because this thing has kind of been, it was a market darling, but then kind of got hit. And now just lack of love, and maybe just people forgot about it, and people just need to kind of start seeing it on the new charts, in the sense of like it's seeing it break out, some more volume coming in, because we're seeing not that much volume, and the squeeze setting up is kind of a perfect scenario here. This is actually one I actually really like, and this is a great one to kind of look at. So I'm going to add it to my list to watch for Monday. So I appreciate that, my friend. Army of Goo. We did ENPH. We look at F-Cell. So F-Cell, this is all about the solar stuff, right? So this thing has just been kind of coming back from the dead, lack of better words. And really just, let me move these around. Doop. There we go. Kind of breaking out here, holding that 50 percentile move here. Again, this is not usually my favorite kind of stocks to trade that are under these certain price targets, but definitely they are tradable. But we're seeing a lot of volume coming in with huge gap ups on the day, potentially some overhead resistance around $2.77. Initially, if this thing does want to run and continue going higher, we're looking for about 3-ish, and maybe even test 350 on the all-time high that has previously got hit there. Shane says T-Mobile, was that T-Mobile? 120 call for November 3rd. Let's see here. So I like this setup. Let's see here. So we said 120. Actually, that's a good looking target there. That's its previous high. It's got a squeeze setting up. It's got earnings on the 26th, but it's not confirmed yet. It doesn't have a complete sign there. So the 26th is a question mark. So we're not sure if that's confirmed or not for that upside target. Initially looking for that. But that 119 to around 122 is the initial target if this movement wants to continue, if that squeeze wants to fire along. Again, we're not talking about a Tesla here, we're talking about a T-Mobile here, so it's not going to be a crazy aggressive stock. But again, 5G, it's been in the news, so we'll see how that plays out. Definitely one to kind of look out for. 120 call, I'm going to say the 3rd. I'm not seeing the 3rd of November. I'm seeing the 6th of November and 13th. You mean the 13th of November? I'm going to go with the 13th since it's the monthly or weekly here. It's closest to what you wrote. So 120, it's giving you about a 43% chance of profit. The spreads are, oh wow, I wonder if these spreads are that low. I'm not seeing any options activity here on the weekly side, so I don't think you're in those. You might be in the 6. There is hardly any options activity in any of these here. Okay, there's a lot of options activity. Look, okay, there's a lot at 125. Of course, this is on the monthly side. These are $5 white strikes. Definitely looking at, oh, you're on the 6th. Okay, so 120, not many open contracts there. And look how wide these bids are. So what I would do, it's very important for me to look at what the overall open interest is and what volume is. Since on this stock, the weeklies aren't very great because you're not seeing much options activity, it could be very difficult if you have a large move higher to get out at a good profit that you think is worthwhile. For example, if you bought like the November 20 calls at 120, the spreads are a little bit closer. There's 5,500 other options there compared to the 9 that are there that you currently have. So just be very careful with that, and those can definitely move very aggressively, even though there's not that much activity on those particular strike prices there. Especially with options activity, with options open interest, you want to really keep an eye on, because you don't want to be bidding and trying to get out of a stock on the bid, on trying to play with yourself in the sense of trying to get out of that trade and maybe just take a loss, or even because those spreads are so large. Robert says, what are your curious thoughts on Roku? Roku, we covered that. We're looking for potential, if the trend wants to continue, longer dated trend is looking for around 250. Look at potentially could stall out here and kind of hold that 120 to 125 level and kind of consolidate into earnings. Maybe even have an earnings run, but 250 could be a larger dated target there. Susan says, what do you think about NVIDIA? Thank you. NVIDIA, I love it. This thing has just been a monster as well. With that consolidation here, it actually held up very well with the overall selling of the NASDAQ a couple weeks ago, and now it's been fairly strong, kind of getting out of that rut here. We're seeing it kind of break out here. If it starts getting above that 562, we can easily see it up to that previous high around 588, and then really going substantially higher to around that $620 range there to the upside. Downside support is going to be initially around the 21 EMA, which is going to be around $528 to downside support around 515 to 514 at those levels there. So there's going to be something to be watchful at those two key levels to the downside. This has been a market leader without a doubt with NVIDIA, really just taking everyone's lunch. On the flip side, since looking at AMD here in a second as well, what do you feel about DraftKings support? Looks like 48.33 to me. Okay, let's take a look. This thing kind of did, I bought a little bit, but then I got shaken out of it. Yeah, I got shaken out of it once it kind of broke below 50-ish. That being said here, we're looking for that move here. Those 5 and 8s are aggressively pointing through the 21 EMA. So that's going to be something you need to be very careful and mindful out on how that reacts to those levels. Since we've got this kind of drop, kind of like a rock falling out of the sky kind of thing. This could be definitely something that could be supporting here, just kind of bouncing hard here, or just kind of just potentially building a base here. With this one, you're saying you have support at 48.33. Is that basically the low here? Yeah, so I won't say it's going to be support there. I'm going to say more support around 49.13. But if it's within like 50 to 60 cents, 70, 75 cents from that level, I'm going to say it's close and it's good. So that yeah, it could have support here, but with this large downward movement and it's closing out nearly 5% or 4.5% on a Friday, while everything else was kind of going higher. That is not really sign of a stronger stock. So it's going to be very mindful and careful about that moving forward within the D King. With the DraftKings, definitely looking for 49 to hold, but if it doesn't hold, we're potentially looking for the 55 or the 50 EMA here, around $44.50 to the downside. Even there, that would be some stronger support there. Also says, Ken, thanks for your response. Last iPod. So yes, I actually own this one. Did I write this right? Or did it change already? Oh shoot, hang on. Is this the open door one? Oh, it's iBot. Oh, sorry, I did it wrong. It's AB. I was thinking iPod. Sorry. Is this the one you're talking about? Yeah. So this is the one we bought into. I thought it was going to be a little bit more aggressive. I bought, I don't know, maybe $1,200 worth of stock. Yeah, I bought about 50 shares or something like that. Maybe 50, 55 or something like that. At some of these key levels around like $17 or $18. Now it's really just breaking out here, and this is something that is, I think, again, really kind of going with the overall housing trend. We're seeing people wanting to leave the city, go to the suburbs, buy that house, get that yard, get that white picket fence, all that scenario. It's really going to be coming through, especially with this. And of course, Open Door, your Redfin, your Zillows are really just going to help unlock that potential for people to have that dream. But yeah. So that's definitely, I love that one. But again, for me, it's going to be a longer term hold. So I'm not going to be, since it's stock, I'm not going to be really touching it. Oh, ARK is buying it on every dip. Okay, nice. What are you up to this weekend, Ken? Just chilling, yard work, talking stocks. My opinion on the stimulus talks this week, a prayer. Off-topic question. My wife and I are looking for a firm mattress in which won't sweat or stink. Was thinking of a purple mattress, but it seems they have lost support the past year. Any recommendations? So, full disclosure, I own 2 purple mattresses. One was, I had the Gen 1. That one failed, and they sent me the newer one. And I like that newer one. But I'm not endorsing it at all, though. But you have to have a pretty good bed frame to support it, though. It's very heavy. Trevor, hey, Ken, can you talk to TA about PLD? Freaking love the dividend. Yeah, there's a lot of people moving California for sure. A lot of YouTubers, that's all I see now. Is just I don't know how my feed's like, oh, I'm leaving California. I'm like, good for you. Well, it's gonna be hard to find weather anywhere else. Not familiar with this one, but this is a good looking chart though. Nice little dividend here. It's kind of choppy here. Looking like it wants to really go higher here. Hitting an all-time high for the year here at 109. With this large move higher, I kind of have to wait for a slight pullback because it's really hitting to unknown territory there. Any positions that you're usually holding at any one given time, just on average range? How many positions are usually? So if we're talking in my trading account, will I normally do options and really short dated stocks? It could be anywhere. This is going to sound a little cray cray. It could be anywhere from 35 to 50. So yeah, but as of right now, I think I have less than probably 15 right now, just because of the chop market and then the overall levels that I'm seeing, and not want to holding too much going into earnings. I mean, the election and earnings as well. Louisiana Pacific. Is this? I'm not sure what this company does. This is a good looking chart here as well. Seeing some support here around 29.77. If this can get those 5 and 8 to cross over aggressively, you can easily potentially see that movement can go higher. If we get some volume, get that volume zone oscillator start printing positive, could easily see that test of $34.35 within that one. Also says Redfin is fire. Yes. Jacob, what's up, my friend? TSM. Yeah, we look at TSM. TSM has definitely been one that's been a great performer for me as well. With this one in AMD, one of my longer traded positions. So with this one, we kind of did the same scenario. Had that base, AK was building that squeeze. We bought into it heavily again and let it run all the way up here. Took some off the table here at that $88 level. This is kind of just being due diligence, doing the right thing, taking some profits. But this thing could run even more from where it is, even though with the overall movement that we're seeing in the semiconductor space has just been complete gangbusters. Looking for that $88 to $89 level to the upside. Really looking for 93 to 95 being the trend here in the next couple of days or even weeks. That being said, is definitely a very high flyer, and we be very mindful of earnings coming out on the 15th. So that's just coming around the corner of next week. So be very careful on that one. Again, I'm trimming up my positions and took some profits just on Thursday on that large move higher there. What pillow do you recommend, Ken? What pillow? Oh my gosh, you ask for everything. I don't know. I have this one I bought that was kind of expensive. It was like 100 and some odd bucks. It was like had like something with bamboo and other components. Yeah, I don't actually trade purple. Actually, I almost traded it, but yeah, never got over it. Is trading your full time job, Stefan? No, it is not. It is a really aggressive side hustle that I do. And one day, hopefully, I can grow my account substantially to the point where I don't have to rely on my day job is basically I do IT for a living for a company. Yeah, trading full time is possible, but again, I'm not day trading, so I could have my day job and just have alerts out. It's not nothing that's going to be something crazy that I can't manage. Sneaky free stuff. Apple CSP 16 cents end of Friday. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Apple. So Apple's also setting up a very nice play. They have they have an event coming out, right? They have the iPhone event or something coming out next week, I believe. So you're saying 1016 is coming out strong. You paid 240 for it for 116. I like that you bought it. Basically, it's going to be in the money or slightly at the money. That is a very good play there, even though it's a little bit short dated for what I normally play, being weekly options. This is definitely one that could move since it's already in the money. You're probably up. Okay, so you bought it at 240. You're probably up like 80, 90 bucks on each of the contracts. Since this is good, since you're in the money, you have a higher delta. So if the stock moves dramatically into the event, particular, I think you would probably want to take profits, sell some of it, take some off the table. But holding it into expiration, got to be very careful because anything could happen. AKA, we could have President Trump tweet something or something like that, in those gains that you potentially could have had. For weekly options, would be very hard to get those back if the stock does kind of drop and come out of the sky there. Samir here says AMD, please. Yes, we can look at AMD without a doubt, my friend. With AMD here, whew, that's it's been a fun one. With that move from that swing high, hitting the all-time high like at $94.30 ish, coming back down with this overall market swings, now trying to slowly get from the depth here, go higher. Had its analyst or event do great things, positive things, the most powerful CPU, they're trying to buy another company, all this other stuff's going on. Kind of just hit some news here, potentially some selling. Initial support's going to be coming around $81.67, even down to an $80.66. I still like it if it even comes down to like the 78.69 range. Did take a little bit of profit on the table, running into around that $86 level. That's going to be initial overhead resistance as well there. Really looking for that $90 price target to break and get to that 90 to 95 is still my longer dated levels to kind of see on how that one plays out. GME is interesting. IV is crazy high. GME. What is GME? Oh, GameStop. Okay, you did it lowercase, so it kind of scared me. IV high, and what time bracket are you looking at? Yeah, with the shorter dated options, you're going to be crazy IV there. But overall, it's going to be very since it's like a below a $20 stock, the strike prices won't be that aggressive. So even if you look at these prices here, these targets here, like, do you think it's going to break $20 in a month? I don't know. Like, you could be selling some premium there. Yeah, I definitely think that's an opportunity to play that. Yes. Jake says, I'm holding TSM leaps, and I'm taking profits before earnings. That's a good kudos to you, my friend. Oh, you sold it. Okay. Hey, you took that profit. Yeah, tweets ends parties fast. You're welcome, Susan. Bobby Lord 666 VSTO. Oh, VSTO. Vista Outdoor Inc. Never heard of this company in my life. What do they do? Do they do something with outdoor stuff? Just guessing. This had a beautiful base here. Had a squeeze as well. Popped higher, kind of hitting that end of that squeeze here. Potentially kind of be coming down and consolidating here. Could be coming down to around that $10 or $20.58 level to be that initial support. We've kind of seen that 21.34 being there. Looking for around that 20.60 to around that $20 level there to the downside support to kind of see on how this one kind of lands on the field here and see how that one plays. Initially wants to go higher. It looks like some overhead resistance initially around that 22.64, and then of course that previous high around that 23.50 there, my friend. So with head and shoulders patterns or any of those kind of the famous sayings or things like that. So with that, between that and like trend lines and things like that, is very difficult for me to interpret because it really just kind of comes down to the person who's doing it, and those just have that strictly meaning to the person who is looking at that chart at that point in time. Yes, head and shoulder patterns are somewhat clear at times, but again, they're somewhat misinterpreted. So I normally use more factual data in the sense of like what's the price of the moving averages, what's the volume, and how's the squeeze and momentum looking on the RSI and so forth there to help me kind of understand there. It's a gun trade for Biden. Okay. I think so. I think that's definitely, if I guess, I think whatever you're playing is, I guess, if you think if Biden loses or wins, that ammo and gun stocks are going to be going through the roof. We're kind of seeing that. What is it? Smith and Western. What is Smith and Western? It's like WS. Oh my gosh, I can't pull it. WSBJ or is it SW? Oh, what is it? Oh, there it is right here. BI. There it is. This one's kind of doing the same pattern. This one's got really beaten up, and now it's kind of holding that 200 EMA. It's got a squeeze setting up. This one's definitely, if this guy's got any legs, we're going to be looking for that 1750 to really potentially hit that $19-ish level. Initial support to the downside is going to be around that $15.20 there. Oh, let me make a credit alert there. So initial support is going to be around that 200 EMA there to the downside. Can you have a portfolio review one day, Ken? Yeah, we can, but again, my portfolio changes. I guess I can just do my longer dated one, but yeah. Awesome, good looks, good looks. Michael Lee says, crowd, CRWD. This one has been a market leader, as you can see, since the bottom here. Now really coming back to try to potentially test its highs around that 152. I think if it has any steam, it could do it, but it's going to be very careful here. It's kind of been, it hasn't really touched the 21 EMA in a while here on the daily side. Initially, this kind of sideways action kind of, I won't say scares me, just kind of taking a break here on 144. Initial support could be coming around 137 to even 133 to be there, but looking for that target to hit around 152 to around 161 to the upside there. But great, good looks there. Booty Lord, this is, what do you think about DBA? So with DBX, I got negative emotions on this one. This is, of course, the drop box. This one's really just trying to get out of this really beaten down territory. I think everyone would think of like, hey, look, everyone needs to store stuff somewhere. The sad thing is like every software that you use now is normally just tied to AWS, Azure, or the clouds, Google Cloud. So that being said, I think this is definitely a beat up story. Can it outperform and continue going higher? Maybe. That being said here, it's hitting a key level here around 2050. If it can break above 2050, we're looking for 21 dollars there to kind of see if it can potentially go to the upside there. So definitely we'll have to see on how that one plays out. This is definitely kind of a downward trend. You can kind of see here on the daily side. It has not been performing very well on that chart there. So very careful with that one, my friend. Yeah, buying the dip here would have been okay. We had a couple squeeze setting up that could potentially have that move kind of higher. But that being said, this thing has been a very choppy stock and has not been performing overwhelmingly positive compared to the relative market and the industries that it's in. Does that mean because it's not relative? Is it just not getting the love it likes? Whatever reason, it's just not a very pretty stock. So we just switched to the weekly side. Ever since the IPO, it's not even getting anything above the IPO. This thing has just been, I won't say a disaster, just hasn't been performing and being able to really get the love that I think it deserves, even though the company's kind of been really just hit and miss with the choppiness here in the market here. Hope that one helped for you there, my friend. Let's see here. Oops, what did I just click? Did I just click something? Oh shoot, hold on. 1 second. All right, let's check couple more things here. Again, if you got any comments, questions down below, please put it in the comment box. I'm just checking something here. Got an alert here. What the heck is this here? Okay. Yar. Roll 1 says net. Let's look at net. Net is actually one that has been actually doing fairly well here. Wow, okay, I didn't see it pop up on Friday like that, but holy moly guacamole, that has been doing fantastic here. Really holding that 5 and 8 moving averages, continue to grind higher, looking for initial targets around $47.77, looking for initially $50.99 there to the upside. This has definitely been a very large aggressive move with the old net, with earnings on the horizon, so be mindful of that on how that plays out. So on the looks like November 5th, with this being very aggressive to the 5 and 8 moving averages, looking some initial support around the 42 to around 41.75, and then back down to around 40.66. Since this is really just kind of coming back, excuse me, and coming back and really just kind of showing that it is somewhat a market leader, it's going to be very hard to buy something that's up nearly 7% on a given Friday there. So be careful with that one. Christopher, what's up, my friend? Hey, Ken, can you check out oh, yes. Oh, my man. Yes. You're gonna get a high five for that one, my friend. That's a great. I love this stock. We bought this one as well, down here at this level here, and it was building a base here around that $50 to $51 level. We bought into it. Bada bing, bada bang, broke past our first targets initially around $64, looking for around $70 as of right now for some initial more profit taking. But if this trend really wants to continue, since it has gone up fairly fast, that we're looking for around $70.26. But longer dated, if it gets any kind of pullback to maybe consolidate here and get those moving averages kind of start curling up here some more aggressively and get some support levels, we're really looking for $76 to even $85 to the upside with this one. But again, this thing has been moving quite a bit here, so we have to be very careful. So we are taking a little bit of chips off the table there. Tube, here you look at Piton. Yeah, we look at Piton. We kind of covered it a little bit. Piton has just been, if you're in it, you're the happiest person on earth. Without a doubt, is just a monster stock with the 5 and 8 moving averages continue to grind higher. It's really just holding that 5 EMA, which is not sustainable, honestly, in the long run. So we're just kind of waiting for a potential pullback here. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it will. Looking for some support around the 21 to even the 34 EMA. That's going to be more the aggressive side to kind of see that pullback. But looking for some stalling here around 125 to potentially 130 to the upside. Because RSI and volumes on oscillator are basically indicating a lot of it being overbought there. What are your thoughts on Amazon on Prime Day? So normally those circumstances of those moves are already somewhat tied in the market. So they're basically, those are known events, aka options have already been priced in for those, the IV or the particular volatility in those days. But Amazon is one, of course, I love. It's been holding that $3,000 level that I like. I've been selling puts on this one. kind of trying to break above that 3280-ish level to the upside. If this can get any kind of movement, I think which it can, because it does also has earnings coming up soon as well on the 22nd of this month. We're looking for around that 3390 to even its previous high around 3500 to the upside there. You've been hearing a lot about Lemonade. Yeah. Lemonade has been, it was an IPO that came out early this year. Kind of got smashed around, but now it's kind of getting up there. Yeah, MASI. Not sure what this company does. This looks interesting though. It has earnings coming up, so be very mindful of that. Holding this pattern here has been really kind of in chop mode. Really kind of see if it can start breaking above that 247 to around 250 range to get that upside movement. Downside support is really going to be coming in around that $221. But initial short dated support is going to be coming around the 21 EMA around $233 there. And big is that big lots? That is one that has been a crazy one. So I shorted this one before the pandemic. Shorted this one all the way down. This was just one I just was able to hold through that. So it's been a nice move. Big, you got a great one here, my friend. This looks really good pattern here. I'm gonna have to give you a high five as well here. 1 second. Let me get this pattern here for you. The Fibonacci here. You're gonna get a. Let's see here. You're gonna get this one. Yeah, I really like this pattern. This is, again, it's been consolidating here. It's been in a very tight base here, aka around that $45, $46 range. Broke above that 48. Now it's trying to test to get about 51 to $54 for the next initial price target to the upside, and again potentially test that previous high. Not seeing any earnings on the horizon. We do have a squeeze. RSI and volumes on oscillator are both trying to potentially print higher here, so this is definitely a move that really could kind of come in and surprise a lot of folks. Again, big lots, people are not the most biggest fan of, even though it's a very much a under the radar kind of stock. Rolly says SLAB is a sleeper. So I don't know what this does, but it's a lab, so I'm guessing some kind of pharmaceutical. So normally with pharmaceutical stocks, they have to be very careful because, again, it can move on whatever news, and it can just kind of be completely aggressive to either side. So I have to be very careful and mindful of that. Initial support is going to be coming around $100.82 to around $98.72. If we can get, again, it looks like it did fire along here with a large move higher just on Friday, being up nearly over 5%. Nice move there. But we're seeing that overall resistance we've seen here twice here before around that. Basically, we're kind of closed on Friday around 106. But if it's got any more staying power and gets that momentum and gets a good kick in their booty, looking for around 110 to the upside there. Last 2 weeks has been insane. I think the reason it's been insane is because of the consolidation of chop and people just being very aggressive to the downside and upside. So yeah. RXMI, you got Piton at 60. Kudos to you, man. Awesome. That is a fantastic move. You're holding on to that. You're a happy camper there, without a doubt. Yeah, MPLN. Thank you for saying please, though, also. So this is a newer IPO? Okay. I don't know what this is doing here. What is this? I have to look this one up. Since it's a newer stock and I literally only have one bar, I have no idea what it is. It's Churchill Capital. What is this doing? It's laboratory medicine company. Yeah, I can't really give too much insight just to the fact of like, hey, like it's literally has one bar on here, and there's no way I can trade it on just on that fact there. It'd be a very hard one to kind of break down there. Let's see here. RMS, this is ZM. Yeah, we look at ZM. This has definitely been, they have that analyst day, I believe, or some kind of review day on Wednesday, so be mindful of that. It's been holding that pattern around 480 for some time. Definitely a very strong stock, of course, with anything going on. I don't think it's going anywhere to say the fact of the sense of like, I don't think Zoom's going to be going away, because even if we get a vaccine, I think it could lighten up a little bit and get some trading out there. But I think the cat's out of the bag, the genie's out of the bottle, whatever you want to say. This is definitely one here to stay, and Zoom is going to be taking a lot of market share, and really just converting a lot of people to be able to do remote work. Initially looking for the next overall target around 516. With that trend, if it can continue going higher, we're looking for around 563. Downside support in the short term side support is around 470, and then back down to around 451 to 450 to be that downside support with the ZM there. Vlad says AMGN. Of course, if I do type. Yeah, this one's kind of been beaten up here. It's a really choppy pharmaceutical company. Really not seeing much love here. Initially looking for some support around that 200 EMA, which is basically around $233. That we could see some initial support there with an earnings. Be very careful on this one, since we had a very aggressive move the past 2 days on end of the week to the downside, even though it had kind of failed at those previous highs around 258 to 260, which we have previously seen some overall stoppage there in that play. Yeah, I don't know what the news is on this one, but it definitely wasn't really great. And it just kind of coming aggressively down to the downside, broke multiple lows previously here, not to this one exactly. It almost went to the tick here, so it's still kind of somewhat in sense of this overall trend here, if it can start getting back and to kind of recover, but I'm not sure what the news was on this one. Yeah, I'm not sure what this one. Can you share your thoughts on VFC? VF Corp. This is the retail, they own a bunch of like retail shops or clothing lines, right? Am I thinking of this one? I like this one, honestly. It has earnings as well, it looks like you said. Initially, with earnings, to be very careful and be mindful of that. That is a very volatile time. I'm not going to be doing any kind of aggressive calls or anything like that running to earnings, due to the fact of that IV crush and things can just do nothing and you still out of your options. That being said here, if it can break on earnings to the upside, above 80, that's going to be a nice target to try to get above to around $88. Downside support is going to be coming around 72 to around that $70 level. Let's see what the options are saying. Let's see if they have weekly. So the weekly is going to be 6 days, so around $5 move plus or minus. So we're currently kind of sitting at 177. So yeah, $72 price target could be easily to the downside support. 70 to $5 from here could be a break above that 618 with any kind of very, very, very strong momentum. They own Vans. Okay. Yeah. AMZN got creamed without a doubt. Yeah, just a very downward, very aggressive movement within that stock for that. Let's see how that one plays out. So the one that I traded actually this on Thursday, Friday, bought calls in was Adobe. So Adobe, this is the pattern I love and love and love and love and love. It's kind of got beat down, didn't really break aggressively to the downside, but it just held that 2134 EMA pattern, hit the 50-day a couple times, but then guess what? You get that beautiful squeeze setting up. you get little to no volume, then you get a huge pop here. Looking for this one to really, really kind of boost higher. I can give you my initial targets. I don't know why this got changed. If it breaks above 50, basically 505, we're looking for 518 to around 536 from the previous high within the old Adobe there. So this has been definitely a very strong trade within the fact of that. Another one, of course, I'm surprised no one has really talked about is the old Tesla. Tesla is definitely one that is setting up, I believe, in a very, very, very bullish stance, aka with earnings run potentially into play, looking for around that 465 to break. If it doesn't break, then we can kind of get some chop mode. This is definitely, again, earnings season is starting. It's time to call your mommy and get ready for some very volatile times and a lot of action in the next coming weeks due to earnings again. So it's definitely gonna be a lot of fun and a lot of interesting stuff that's gonna happen in the markets, especially going into the election as well. So it's gonna be a really fun, or it could be an S show as well. The S hitting the F, without a doubt. So definitely a fun, interesting time without a doubt. If there's any more comments or questions, please put them down below. If not, you can just comment on the video. I'm going to be kind of winding down because we do actually have the official stock live stream coming out on Sunday, tomorrow at 9 p.m. as well. So if you want to go ahead and join that one, it's definitely be fun as well. Check and spy, thoughts on clarification. Yeah, go ahead. Stock up 101. So you said SPY, class of correction. Let's see here. You're saying that you're going to get a correction in the sense of it's going to go down. Thoughts on a correction. As of right now, SPY is really just kind of grinding higher. A way to potentially stall out would be around that 350 level. Again, 350 is a nice round number. 350 is actually the 78.6 percentile move. That being said, you can never tell when a crash is going to come, because if you did, you would be a trillionaire, gazillion billionaire. But we have come up really fast in a very short period of time. That could mean or indicate a potential kind of sideways action. Some support levels we can be looking at here could be around the 343, even back down to 340 would be an okay short-term support. But if we start getting below that 335 to 334, that's going to be the initial support there to the downside, and as well basically kind of coming into that 55 EMA. Rolly1, thank you for the $3. I appreciate it, my friend. I really do. Thank you. Give you a nice little high five. Little of that, appreciate that. Does it work? There we go. Let's see here. Oh, it's always good, some stuff. Yeah, SPY had a nice 2-day breakout, so it really had the capability to kind of get higher there. David, can we see Dropbox? Brother, appreciate it. So David, we just did Dropbox. Dropbox is kind of trying to kind of, what is Dropbox again? Is it DBX? I forget what it was. If you write the ticker symbol again, my brain's going slow here. I think I have it. There it is right here. So Dropbox is trying to get out. It really is. But we're seeing that overall support level resistance coming around the 200 EMA. If it get above 250 to $21, that could be a potential trying to break out. That doesn't mean it is going to break out, but this is definitely something that it's just been a downward trend in this stock here. Unless someone's going to be buying it or whatever, like this is not going to be a very effective traded stock that I normally go for, or the pattern I like to trade there. I want to say a hot stock, but it's definitely, a lot of people look at it like it's been beaten down and had a fairly large move the past couple of days. So it got a lot of people's radars. Yeah, like so there's a very interesting video that I'm actually working on that Kathy Wood actually did a webinar or like a live stream or whatever. I don't know if she did like a live stream, but a recording where her and her team broke down of like basically in layman's terms, Trump wins, they see the market going higher with less regulations, and of course, companies can do more and more, blah, 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 blah. And then the flip side is if Biden wins, they see more regulations, more taxes, or whatever. That could hinder a lot of growth stocks that we see here in the overall market. That means it's going to come crashing down, but just won't grow as fast if Trump was the president or not. If that makes sense. But guys, if you have any more comments, please put them down below. If you want to join the Discord, I have that link down in the description as well. And if you want to become a YouTube member or a Patreon as well, full disclosure, I might be moving stuff from YouTube to Patreon just because of the way the system works. It's not really easy to access and talk to people within the YouTube comment or the YouTube membership tab, but those are going to be only for like the higher tiers. But most folks are the lower end tier of just being like a live streamer. Support there. Vlad says Amazon, Netflix, ones that don't pay much taxes. Biden would probably change though. Yeah, there's a lot of, even though like you never know what's going to happen with that movement here with Amazon and Netflix. Of course, they talk about a tax on what was the one that Andrew Yang was talking about? It's like basically a use tax. Like they have to pay a tax on everything they kind of use. Christopher, thank you for the $2, my friend. You're also going to get a fantastic, we're going to give you a chest bump there. Nice. Thank you for that, my friend. I really, really do appreciate that. And Trevor, of course, your ongoing optimism and just straightforward as being very positive and always a very good mood. I really do appreciate that. Again, guys, on that note, thank you so very, very, very much. And I will definitely catch you guys tomorrow on the next live stream. They're going to be doing the traditional Sunday stock live stream with all the fun stuff going on there, looking at the charts, getting ready for a fairly aggressive earnings week going forth. Again, we've got the bank stocks going through, so actually didn't really get to cover that, but with the bank stocks, BAC, which is some of the positions that I have in that position here, looking for this potentially to pop higher. With my much longer dated options here, I'm looking to kind of it hold above 24-ish. If it could hold above 24, I can easily see Bank of America and the overall indexes of the better run bank stocks. I'm not talking about the Wells Fargo of the worlds. Seeing this pop higher to around $26 to even $28. Not saying this is going to happen in the next day or so, but that is definitely the movement and the trend that I could see happening within the banks if they report well. And I think people are a little bit too concerned about all these companies failing and all the particular bad loans that these banks will have. I think between Bank of America and Goldman Sachs, actually, it's going to be very well. Trevor saying I like MS as Morgan Stanley. I haven't actually looked at that one for a while. Oh, that's a good looking chart, actually. I kind of like the pattern here. If it stays above that $47.50 to $47 range, we can easily see 51.7 there. And then Chase got hit by something, right? Is that just letter C? Yeah, this one has definitely kind of been beat down much more than others. Really look how to see. Excuse me, I drank some water. So support around $43, but yeah, this one's just kind of been beaten up here as well. So we'll see that one plays out. Again, guys, thank you so very much for watching. Thank you for Chris and Roland for the donations. Greatly appreciated. Again, guys, have a safe and wonderful rest of the weekend, and I hope to see you guys out for tomorrow for the next live stream there.